We are still in this active weather pattern across Central Oregon, receiving some much needed rainfall. But today alone, we've already had several changes. We've had wet conditions, stronger winds, periods of clearing, and now more showers are starting to push into Central Oregon. Hey everyone, I'm Darrell Winninger, Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and we're about to take a deep dive into your most reliable forecast because this active pattern is not over yet. We are still being influenced by this atmospheric river with one more system expected to push through the high desert by tomorrow. So we have the tail end of the reinforcing cold front tonight, and then some clearing early Thursday, and by Thursday afternoon and evening we're getting wet and gusty once again. So we're still not calming down. It's still really gray outside, and we still have a whole lot of precipitation on the way. Just looking across the Tri-County area with these cameras, everything from the Oregon Hazards Lab cameras all the way to mountains up at Hoodoo and Bachelor, and we do still have some precipitation rolling through. Now, when it comes to rain, just in the last 24 hours, we've had between 1/10 of an inch up to 1/3 of an inch of rain. And I don't know if you remember or not, but a couple of days ago on Monday, when we were talking about getting into this atmospheric river, we had the potential of getting up to an inch on the east slopes of the Cascades through the entire thing. But this is just one of those days. We still have the rest of a system this evening, and then another one by tomorrow. And there is a series of weather alerts across the entire state. In fact, a couple of them have been dropped. They only went till 4 p.m. on Wednesday, but we still have some special weather statements on the other side of the Cascades, as well as a gale warning along the coastline. So for the most part, winds are still going to be pretty gusty. Those advisories and warnings just got dropped when it comes to the winds. Now, our winter storm impact graphic also shows that through the Cascades, in the highest elevations, we're talking above 7,000 feet, we're looking at some pretty nice snow. But for the lower elevations, not as much. So that does mean Bachelor is going to get some new snow. Hoodoo might get some new snow, but it's not a good bet right now. When it comes to Willamette Pass and Diamond Lake Junction, some limited impacts through Sandy Ann Pass, and not too bad through Government Camp. And this is all the way through the next 3 days, so this includes tonight through Thursday night. But what's been happening is we have these back-to-back fronts pushing through. The one on the east side of the map, the right side of the map, that was a leading cold front for this system. Now there's a reinforcing front that's also pushing through, continuing to bring more precipitation. But look what happens on the back side of that cold front. Some clearing, but we still have one more system. So let's go ahead and just look at the bigger picture across the entire Pacific Northwest and switch gears. Instead of just satellite and radar, we're going to look at enhanced infrared satellite imagery. And it's infrared satellite imagery. There's just an enhancement that really pulls out those tall clouds. You notice those well off to our east, where you start to see some reds. Over Central Oregon, it's yellows and greens, so not extremely tall, still producing some precipitation. And along the coastline, there's even been some thunderstorm activity all the way through the I-5 corridor and up the west slopes of the Cascades. But also on this map, those white lines, those are isobars, or equal lines of pressure. And if you look at them, we typically use these just to know what the pressure of a system is. And when they start to get tightly stacked up together, we call that a steep gradient. And with this system, we definitely have a steep gradient, which means strong winds. And that's what we've been seeing across the high desert. Now, looking at the bigger picture, there's another system already taking shape out over the Pacific Ocean. And that is going to be our next system that works its way into the Pacific Northwest, and another one just behind that. So there is a lot happening over the Pacific Ocean. Our main system is over the Gulf of Alaska, and we're still in this active weather pattern with some pretty good moisture over the Pacific Northwest as well. Now, there is an area of dry air on the back side of this cold front, starting with the dark blues getting into the yellows, and our next system is still way offshore. And so it does look like some dry air rolls in early tomorrow morning before we start to see this next system approach, push through, and bring even more rain. So when we just break it down and look at a high-resolution forecast model, has clouds, rain, and winds. Those streamlines are showing wind direction. The longer they are, the stronger the winds are. And so we got some pretty gusty winds here through this evening, with more off and on showers expected during the evening, and then overnight we start to catch a little bit of clearing during the early AM hours. By 6 a.m., partly cloudy, a few sprinkles, and then through noon, we're actually looking at some in and out clouds really through 1 p.m. In and out clouds are expected. Then by the afternoon and evening, more rain, gusty winds. They swing around to the west. And then on the backside of the system, we're expecting clearing Friday with in and out clouds Friday, Saturday. But let's back this up. Let's throw it in reverse. Bring it back to Thursday night. That says the last cold front's going to be pushing through with this active weather pattern. And snow levels start to drop after sunset to the point where we're even looking at wintry mix and then snow through the Cascades. At this time, a few areas of Central Oregon could get a couple snowflakes, not much to get excited about though. And going forward through the next several days after that, we actually dry out pretty nicely. So let's look at a few other things. The relative humidity is moderate to high across the Tri-County area. Some areas of fog are expected again through tonight. Now, when it comes to temperatures today, we've actually topped out in the last 24 hours in the 50s with a few 60s on the map. But actual temperatures right here and right now are in the 50s and 40s through the Tri-County area. So that puts us running between 7 degrees cooler and 10 degrees warmer than we were 24 hours ago. So some parts of Central Oregon, temperatures have picked up a little bit more mild than yesterday. Other parts are actually cooling down. And this is going to be the trend through the next couple of days. Really Friday, it's going to be cooler. Then Saturday, we start to warm up. Now, when it comes to the temperature profile overnight, we are expecting to fall back into the 30s. Few spots could get close to freezing in some of our higher elevations. Most of us lower to mid 30s, highs in the mid to upper 50s once again on Thursday. So let's look at a different forecast model. This one really focuses on surface temperatures, and the streamlines are thrown in there, so wind speed and direction. I have some weather words on there, and we're just going to see what happens because through the day Thursday, winds are still going to be gusty because of this last system that's pushing through. The warm front rolls through early, the cold front late and overnight, and then the showers start to wrap up on Friday. We begin to clear out. It's going to be cooler. Those clouds thin out with pleasant conditions expected to return on Saturday. We're talking 50s, some 60s. So between now and Saturday at 11 p.m., we are getting wet. A little bit of snow is expected in the Cascades, and roller coaster temperatures are on the way. So we get a dip in temperatures Friday, then a gradual warm up that brings us well into the 60s and well above average for this time of the year by Sunday and Monday. It's also going to dry out. Now, our forecast model shows the 1-2 punch that we're still expected to receive with a reinforcing cold front tonight and that next system out over the Pacific Ocean. So through the overnight hours, we do get some periods of clearing into the early a.m., but then more rain on Thursday, stronger winds. The clearing really shapes up on Friday as that high pressure builds over the region and continues with Saturday bringing in and out clouds. By Sunday, mostly sunny, partly cloudy times. So even going forward through the rest of the 7-day planner, more sunshine than cloud cover is expected until we hit Monday and Tuesday. By this time next week, there is a chance for another system edging into the Pacific Northwest. But this specific model, the GFS, shows no precipitation by then. So between now and 11 p.m., we are all getting wet. 11 p.m. Thursday, I should say, with some light snow totals through the Cascades and then a little bit more Thursday night. By Saturday noon, we're drying. Most of this system is going to be continuing through Thursday night with mostly just bringing rain. Now, it has been a gusty day on the high desert. Current gusts are between 25 and 41 miles per hour. Now, here, when it comes to wind speeds, we're mostly 15 to 25 miles per hour out of the west and southwest. And these gusty winds start to taper off overnight, but they don't go too far. Still breezy overnight. And then by tomorrow, gusty conditions once again. By Friday, back down to a light breeze that could get breezy at times. So one more round of rain, one more round of strong winds, and then we start to see improvement on Friday as we transition into a calmer pattern. So for tonight, 40s and 30s expected. By tomorrow, 50s, few 60s, couple 40s out there, and your 7-day planner shows that this active weather pattern, this atmospheric river wraps up on Friday with clearing, then in and out clouds through this weekend and to start next week. By Veterans Day, 64 degrees, well above average for this time of the year. So quick recap, your weather headlines include more rain and strong winds ahead. The last cold front rolls through Thursday during the afternoon and evening, then clearing and cooler Friday. But as of right now, we still have rain showing up on radar. We still have a whole lot of thick clouds on satellite, and we are still in this active weather pattern. That's the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. It's at 5 at 11 on ABC, and it's 6, 7 at 11 on CBS. And I also want to point this out real quick. I just noticed it, and it just recently happened. It looks like north of Astoria in Washington, there is a tornado warning that's in place way far removed outside of our area, but that just goes to show that on the other side of the Cascades, they are getting some dangerous thunderstorms, even a couple of tornado warnings. But that's it. We'll talk soon, and join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News.